Well, hello chaps and chappets, it's finally arrived, Malhya, Land of Legends. And in this video, I'm going to talk as quickly as I can about this game. So I'm going to do a quick introduction into what is Malhya as a board game. And then I'm going to do a very quick overview of the pros, cons, the good, the bad, and the ugly, so to speak. For those of you who just want to watch a very, very quick video. And then after that, I'm going to do a waffle section where I talk about this game and my thoughts and feelings after playing 10 sessions, not including the prototype that I played many moons ago, but around about 20 to 25 hours worth of gameplay that I've had with this adventure so far. So without further ado, let's jump to the credits and then get this ball rolling.
This video was made possible with the help of Game Toppers. Upgrade your gaming experience with a Game Topper.
So what is Malhya? Well, Malhya is an adventure game for 1 to 5 players where they are awakened. They are reanimated people of this world, and they are been woken up because there's a titan arriving, and this is a big kind of colossal monster which is going to end the land, so to speak. And so your purpose is to defeat it. And this is a big arcing story. So you start off with your reawakening, and then eventually, maybe, possibly killing this titan, or maybe something else will happen along the way. Now there's going to be 3 video games that I'm going to probably reference a lot during the course of this video, and that is Skyrim and Baldur's Gate 3 and Elden Ring, because there's a lot of elements in those video games that I like which I can compare to this. So as I said, at its core, it's a choose your own adventure. You'll have these booklets which will give you descriptions about the world and what you're doing. It'll also point you in the direction. You can go this way or go that way. You can speak to that person, you cannot speak to that person. You'll have this whole city sometimes to explore and say, okay, I'm going to go over here and do this. And then there's going to be those moments where you have an event where you have to do something stealthily. You might have to go into a room and steal something or sneak past some guards. So there'll be a stealth mode which you play on the table. There's also a combat or skirmish mode as well, which may result in you failing a stealth test, or it might be just a case of these guys are in the way, eliminate them. And then there's the world map, which you will eventually get to, and you'll be able to explore the world. You'll be given some points and destinations from time to time. Get here by so and so, or do this. And then you can just walk around. There may be a random event which happens, which could break into a skirmish, or it might be just some treasure that you found and you need to unlock the lock. But you can also, while you're walking around the world, collect resources which you can then create your own potions, your own arrows, and your own skeleton keys. There's also going to be puzzles and enigmas for you to solve. Some of these are visual ones, some of these are verbal ones. Some of these will be go around this room and explore with statues and then pull the levers in the right order kind of thing. And all along, your character is going to be evolving and developing and leveling up as you go, getting more powers, getting more experience, and being better at skill tests and getting these little capabilities. So like getting better at being a rogue or better at being a warrior, or mixing. So that's an overview basically of what this game is. It's the Skyrim explore everything and fabric things. It's the Baldur's Gate adventuring where you've got all these different possibilities, but there's a narrative story pushing you forward. So it's giving you that Dungeons and Dragons feeling with skill tests that you need to do this challenge and do that challenge. And then it also has this Elden Ring thing where you have been reborn and your objective is to do this and you're going to fight and you're possibly going to die, but the story is going to keep advancing forward and you're going to get to the end eventually. And unlike Elden Ring, if you get stuck on a boss, you just jump over them. It's a falling forward story. So without further ado, I need to talk about the pros and cons, and then, as I said, later on in this video I will waffle and hopefully not spoil anything, but talk in depth about the game. So let's start off with this game is a big game. It's a big box, it takes up a lot of space, it'll take up a whole unit on your Kallax, and it takes up quite a bit of space on your table. I've quite happily installed a solo game for 2 characters, and it all fits on this Watson here, no problem. But you may find that you need to set another table aside to have the components there, which you will set up bits of the game as you go. When I say this is a big game, this is one giant adventure with many, many chapters. You cannot just go, okay, let's take this book and play this, because you will be thrown out of context of story and level of other monsters. This is just one big story. The good thing is you have drop in, drop out characters, so you can add another player and they will quickly catch up with a very simple leveling system, but they will not know the whole story. But don't worry, you can always save your campaign onto a sheet and then come back to it later and maybe start a second game, because this is not legacy, you're not going to destroy anything, you're going to know a bit of the story, but you're going to walk a slightly different path. The game is constantly moving. You're not going to be sat in a dungeon for like 2 hours and then going to a village for 30 minutes and then going to your next dungeon for another 2 or maybe 3 hours. The game is very, very rapid. You're going to be setting up, you're going to be getting out the tiles, putting up the thing, doing a combat. It might last 5 minutes, it might last 30 minutes. And then you put the tiles away and then you get the next minis out and put them on the table. And then you read some book and then you do this and you do that. The game constantly changes, which is good because then it creates lots of little segues for you to say, all right, let's stop this end for the day, let's save. This can be really frustrating in solo mode. There's so many tokens, so many tiles and cards and minis to put away before getting out more. But playing with another player, very useful, because one person can read the next part of the story while the other person is setting up, all clearing away. Combat is a dice rolling affair where your attack dice will go against your opponent's defense dice. One thing that players might not like is the fact that this black die here has the dodge facility, which means that it negates all of your attack that you've done, which can be a little bit disheartening and also prolong the battle, making it go on a little longer than normal. But it's thematic, it fits in with creatures that move really, really fast and difficult to hit, or very, very skilled swordsmen. There is also the possibility that you can negate these black dice being rolled with certain weapons or with certain arrows. There is the whopping 80-page rulebook which explains all of the rules, and it has about 10 pages of icon explanation. Yes, there's a lot of icons, there's a lot of things to remember. In fact, if you try to read the book and then play the game immediately afterwards, you may, like me, struggle and think, well, I've read the book, I know how to play the game, but why am I stuck already? The good thing is the rulebook breaks it down into little sections, so when you get to that part, you can then just read the rules, which would be about 3 to 5 pages, and then you can play out that action or that event. But unfortunately, there are some printing errors, there are things missing, there are translations which are wrong, and there are typos. None of it game breaking. You can check the Etera online if you want to verify, but you can put your head around it and keep this ball rolling down the hill while you're playing the game. There are also some first edition errors in the printing as well of components. Some of them are printed incorrectly. Some of the tiles are a bit too big and won't slide into each other, so you can create a perfectly flat mat. And there are also some icons on some of the characters which are incorrect. But as I said, none of it game breaking. You can still play, but just these little niggles. One of the things which might be a detriment to you is this game can be punishing. You're going to probably fail more than you succeed at tests or stealth or combat or anything. You're probably going to cycle through objects and weapons pretty rapidly as you get knocked out and your body is robbed of all its coins and its weapons. Yes, that can be very disheartening. But there is an easy mode built into the game which will help you along the way. The designers have also acknowledged that the game is very punishing and created another easy mode as well, which you can look up online. So if you do feel like you are being kicked in the bollocks a bit too much, then you can cheat, so to speak. And again, like any choose your own adventure book, you can cheat and say, oh, I didn't turn left, I turned right. Page 57, okay, right. Or, yeah, he was knocked out, not me. Oh, and just to finish off, the game has some nice surprises. Not just in the story that it's telling, but also in the game mechanics. You've got these basic ones which I've explained, like the exploration, the combat, the stealth, the skill checks. But every now and again, they tweak the rules of this and change the context of it, which make it interesting. And it's always like a nice little, a nice surprise. Which is good, which means that in this, 1,000-hour game that you're going to play, you're not just going from dungeon to dungeon, fighting the same monster, but instead of there being 2 of them, there's now 3. Or there's 3 of them, but there's a boss as well. So there you go, there's a very quick 10-minute overview of what the game is about and some pros and cons about this game. Now we get to the meat of it, where if you're still watching, thank you, because I'm now going to babble a bit more in depth about some of the mechanics of the game, some of the rules of the game, things that I like, some of the things that I don't like. You can again see closer look up at the components which you probably didn't see in the first 10 minutes of the video. Let's start off by saying that I'm enjoying this game, and I think that this is a board game that everybody should love if you're into choose your own adventure books, because it does feel very much like a choose your own adventure book. You are doing quite a bit of reading, but you're also doing quite a bit of gameplay on the table. It kind of like breaks out of the mold and kind of feels like a in between a choose your own adventure book and a video game, where it has a memory and it has things which are going to happen and keep changing. You're going to not just be in the book all the time. There is moments of lots of reading, but there are moments of lots of board game playing. So you're moving miniatures on around the board, or you're puzzling out with your friends if you're playing with other players the puzzles that are in the game, or you're doing skill checks with the dice rolling, or you're exploring the world and trying to decide what's the best thing for you to do. Is it best to just run to your destination across the world map, or is it best to just every now and again pick up some resources and make some super cool weapons, some arrows which will help you, avoid those dodge dice that I spoke about, or, have some special potions which will help you heal if you do fall into a combat and it's not going your way. There are all those kind of choices, and each thing, it generates tension. The skill checks are, kind of push your luck dice rolling mechanics, but I'll talk about that a bit later. And the story itself builds tension, and the things that you're going to do are going to build tension throughout this game. So if you do like playing a choose your own adventure, this is perfect, because number one, it gives you enough clues. Unlike the choose your own adventure books that I played, sometimes I'd open a door and I would be dead, and there would be no clue of why that door was trapped, or why that creature would just all of a sudden just eat me after I just spent 10 minutes talking to him. It's just like, oh no, I'll just kill you here. And then you'd have to go back and play again. Whereas in this game, you keep moving forward. So you may screw up something. You may not get the item that you want, but there's another way around. You may screw up a stealth mission and jump straight into combat, but after you've gone through the combat, you get to the other side of the story, and the story keeps going. You might miss out on some items or some clues or advice or something, but the game keeps moving, and that's one thing that I appreciate. I'm moving forward in this story. I'm probably going to screw up quite a bit, and I have done so far, but the story keeps going, and I'm enjoying it. So there you go. Now, let's take a closer look at the components of the game. Let's start with the important part, the books. So starting with the epic 80-page rulebook. The rulebook does a good job of explaining everything and breaking down everything nicely. The only thing it didn't explain very well is how to sticker the cubes. Yes, there are some stickers that you're going to sticker onto some cubes because they do things important during the course of the game. And then the book does go into vast detail about all the components, so everything's got a name. So if you're ever unsure about what it's talking about, you can look through this and go, oh, that means that tile, or that means that token. Then it gives you an overview, which does a nice job. Then there's general concepts. And again, this is probably the stuff that you will definitely read when you get it out the box. Before it breaks it down into the different phases. So like the travel phase section, which is about 3-4 pages long, or longer, 5, 6. So again, these kind of bits you can read whenever you want, whenever you get to that part of the adventure. And again, it's all nicely detailed. There's no real kind of problems. I found one typo, which is a he instead of the. It's just missing the T. But it does everything. Everything is explained here. It can be sometimes a little bit hard to find some things, because one of the things that I was trying to find was this overpowering technique, which can be used when there's like 2 against 1 and they're in the same space. And I had to remind myself of the rule, but I got to it. But as you can see, it's glorious. It's colourful and maybe a bit too squashed. And then we get to the icons, which are plentiful. There are lots of things for you to learn. There's lots of icons which are similar, but they've broken it down into like where they're going to be used. There's token specific ones, there's travel board ones, there's ones which are enemy attacks. So if an enemy attacks you, you don't know what the symbol is, you can look it up. And then finally, what I love is at the back here, it tells you how to store everything and where everything is. So it tells you where the tiles go, where the figures go. And not a lot of games do that, and I'm glad that this does it, because there's a lot in this game. Next, we have the adventure itself. There are 10 books, okay, in this game. These are parts of the story. So you'll start with the introduction, the awakenings, which will then lead you on to the next part of the story. I'll open this one up so you can have a look, because there's not really much spoilers in this. But yeah, it will start off with, as you can see, a kind of little bit of text, and then what you need to do to start your game. And then you're away, choosing your paragraphs. You'll see there's art on there as well, which is nice. And a thing that I appreciate is that none of these paragraphs go from one page to another. It fits on totally. So 8 fits on here, and then when you flip over, it'd be 9. It won't be 8.5. You won't continue. So that's nice design work. And there, the art in the game it gives you clues to the world, and also sometimes there's like hidden information in the artwork, or hidden numbers, so you might jump to a paragraph because of a number. A little bit like Seventh Continent. But yeah, you're going to go through this bit by bit. You probably won't experience everything in this book. You might miss things because you didn't go a certain path, or you didn't choose the right thing, or you choose the wrong thing, or whatever. But yeah, it's well done. The only criticism I really have, apart from a few spelling errors, is the darkness of the color of the background. Sometimes when I'm reading, I don't have this amount of light, and so it's very hard to read this print in this top right hand corner, which seems to be like the darkest part of the page, well, the book. But yeah, as I said, there's 10 of these. You're gonna go through them at the beginning. It's very linear. You go from 1 to 2 to 3, but apparently after a while, you'll start going through them in different orders. So you'll get to choose. And if you get the Kickstarter version, there's an extra book that you can go through as well. If you get the retail version, you just have those 10 books. Then we have this massive event book, which contains everything. This contains the events that will happen when you're exploring the world. Hence, these numbers are done like this. And then you have all these random encounters and random things in the game as well. And if you notice that these paragraphs are slightly different, they're red and rectangular, whereas in the other ones they were diamond and blue in the adventure books, which again is a good distinction of when you're playing the game, where you got to go and where you got to read. I have heard horror stories about this book. It does make some strange noises when I open it, and it is a bit worrying to leave it on the table flat. Yeah, I've heard horror stories that pages are falling out of these books, but they are being replaced. People that have had their pages fall out, get a new book which is nice. Rewinding a tad, sorry. In the adventure books, they do have a QR code at the beginning which you can scan, which will give you an FAQ if there's like errors in that book, and so you can check them out. Then we have our exploration booklet. This is a ring binder, and again, I've heard horror stories about that, but so far this ring binder is done really, really well. And as you can see, there are maps in here of dungeons or levels, and sometimes this will be used for just straight up combat. It might be used for stealth mission, or it might be used as a puzzle. These might be places that you need to go to, and as you can see, there are these numbers on here. So you read that paragraph depending on the adventure book that you're in. So that's clever as well, because these numbers are going to be used in this book, and then in this adventure book, but they will be different. So when you look at that next time and you're on that part of the book or that chapter of the book, that's going to be different, which makes it really cool. And you know, these kind of things are infinite then. Not only do you have dungeons and, you know, rooms in this game, you also have creatures, and you decide where you want to attack them. You place your character upon there, and then you have special rules. You might have special rules anyway. So again, there's another creature there. But sometimes there's like dungeon maps of locations, and sometimes there's other things. There's so much stuff in here. I don't even know what this is. I haven't encountered this yet. But yeah, there's lots of interesting and wonderful things, and everything is beautifully illustrated. And it's all illustrated by one person as well, which is the amazing thing. And the final book is the save game scenario book. There's a nice big whopping pad here. I'll get one that I'm using at the moment. So you'll save all your data on here from game to game, so when you pack the game away, basically you have your playing area, so anything there. So if you've got money, or if there's any crystals, because the adventure will tell you to put some crystals there because you need to do a count and it might affect something. You have this as well down the bottom here. This is like the memory of the game. You cross off these boxes, which means that you've done something, which will affect the game later on. Again, there's just, if you want to stop midway, you can stop midway in the exploration, or stop midway in a dungeon. And here is a thing that I like as well, is the fact that you don't get all of the weapons and the treasure cards put into the deck. You're only going to get a certain amount put in. And this will unlock, as you see, it goes up and up the numbers. I should get closer. Be better. But yeah. So you don't get to experience everything from the cards in the game. And there are not many cards. And then, of course, there's your character stats of where you are on the levels, how much initiative you have, how much damage you have, and then all the different cubes. And I'll explain the characters next. In the game, there are 5 characters. If you have the Kickstarter version, there's an additional 5 characters. But these are the ones that you will get in the retail version of the game. You choose your hero. If you're playing solo, you will have to play 2 heroes, and then you click them into their board like so. Here's a closer look at one of the characters, and as you can see, I've now added the cubes in. These cubes keep track of your stats for your knowledge, your intelligence, perception, dexterity, and strength, and each character has different levels. So here, for example, the Sulk, he starts at a level 2 on his strength, but the Ancient starts at level 1, so they're all slightly different. They all have slightly different powers as well. So the Ancient is good at climbing, so on skill checks for climbing, they're going to get extra. You will see, I put these the wrong way around, but yeah, these cubes had to be stickered, which is not a fan of, but hey ho, but they're done. That's just to say that you've been stunned, so you can't move, or you lose your initiative. There's also this one which counts your energy. Well, your action points. You have 6 action points, and during your turn you can move and use these action points to attack or move, but you can also just end your turn a bit early and wait, because what you can do is then you can say, okay, I'm going to save my action points, wait for the enemy to move to get closer, and then I'm going to go, oh, you know what, I will activate myself, spend 1 action point, and then attack them. And so you do like an attack before they attack you. Okay, so rewinding a bit, the game is not idiot proof, because sometimes you might not write down all the information that you should do. Something which has happened to me for your character, and I was supposed to have an item and I didn't have it, and it kind of screwed me up a bit. But I managed to get through it somehow. So yeah, this is the hero board. You have your initiative for determining who goes first, and then you have how many free movement points, which are all things that we've seen before in other games, which I think work really well here. Again, having the different stats are useful for skill tests, which can be really, really cool when you are the only one that's good at, for example, if you have very high knowledge, you're good at collecting resources on the world map. Other things around your character board is your weapons. You might not have any weapons. You might have your hands or your claws. These normally go at the top here, and you only display what you can do. If you look at our weapon, for example, here we have a weapon which costs 5 action points and gives you a red dice and a yellow dice to attack. And for defending, it's free. You just roll a blue dice, and you may find yourself getting some armor or some special thing later on which you add on, like so, which gives you an extra defense there and some special powers. The attacks from the weapons can be magnified depending if you've unlocked the strengths. So if I had a level 2 in intelligence, then I could actually spend an extra action point to get a third dice. And if I have 4 in strength, then I can attack 2 spaces at once with this weapon. Weapons will slot into here, like so. You'll also have your character card, which will give you your starting statistics. So 4 aura points, 5 life points, and you can carry 1 thing in your backpack. And all of these things can be leveled up when you level up. So if I leveled up my strength here, I would get 1 extra life point. And as you can see, different things will happen at different levels for the 5 different statistics that you have. And each character has their own thing. Some of them will give you more life than, say, this character. You can get 3 life points here. Some of them will give him more skills. Let's jump on to skills in a sec. But yeah, here at the bottom, again, every character is different, and you can use your aura points during the game, and only 1 per action, to give you advantage on attacking or healing or stealth, re-rolling dice, and also to level up one of your stats temporarily when you're doing a skill test. So imagine I was doing a skill test using perception. I would say, yeah, I'm going to use an aura, and it's going to give me 3 instead of 2, and then I can roll 3 white dice, and I'll go into skill checks a bit later. This card gets added at the bottom to remind you that you can do those actions, and every time you level up, you just have a look. The only thing that the game is missing is, yeah, this is a recessed board, which is great for cubes to sit in nicely and stuff, but it'd have been nice to have a bit of a recess to slide these cards under. Sometimes I can't slide them under straight away. Then we have our talents, our skills. You can be like a warrior or a mage or a rogue, I think it is, and then, yeah, you've got a scholar as well, and a thief. So these are your skill cards. You're going to get 1 of these at the beginning of the game, and they can be leveled up during the course of the game. So like, for example, this scholar, it starts here, the black. So you'll slide this under your board, and this one will give you an advantage when you do potions, when you do a test on potions, and it'll also give you advantage when you're scavenging for resources in the world. And that would go under here, and then when you level it up, he said banging the camera, Tom Vassell style, you flip it over. And then finally you've got a slot for any kind of medallions or things that you might find along the way. So like you can see here, this ring here, you can have 1 ring and 1 necklace equipped. It gives you a little advantage like so. So this would give you a +1 in your initiative, so you'd adjust your initiative track. And you can sell it for this price, or maybe half this price as it goes. And each card, every card has a number, so you can record it on your character sheet, so you can remember that you have that item. And again, that will slide under there. Now let's look at the other side of the board. So this is your backpack. This is where you're going to store items that you find during the course of the game, in this nice pop-up. Oh, you can't see it. There you go. This nice pop-up version of the game. So yeah, you can obviously only hold X amount. This is a negator for heavy weapons and heavy armor. Sometimes they would come into effect. and this is where you keep your resources. You have resources here which correspond to this card here. As you can see, yellow, it means that these are skins, and again, if I had a green one, it would be wood. Down here we have herbs, boom, like so. So these are different colored herbs. They have really no names. Then you can make arrows from herbs and resources, and different arrows do different things. Like this one here, this green arrow, you spend it and you negate one of the dodge dice from your enemy's defense. You have potions as well. Potions do different things. They heal you 2 points or 4 points, or they restore some of your aura, which you've spent to activate a special power. And then you have these keys for lock picking. And there might be keys of other colors during the course of the game, which are going to be used to open special doors. But yeah, you can build stuff from the resources that you've collected during the course of the game to help you out along the way. Now, stealing from Batman or Conan this energy reserve for life points, which is I love. Yeah, whenever you take damage, simply you move that amount of damage into that space, and you can heal it with a potion if you have a potion. So if I had a yellow potion, I'd spend the yellow cube, and then I get those 2 back. You also have this like very serious damage here, which takes a bit longer. So if I had that potion which restored 2, I could go 1, 2, or I could go 1, 2. And then up here we have stunned damage, which is another nice thing. And anytime that damage from an enemy is stun damage, it goes in here, and it doesn't come back until the end of the battle. So this needs to be healed, and this comes back automatically at the end of a fight, which, yeah, it works for me. It feels thematic. And as I said, I love this mechanic in Batman and Conan. It works really, really well. And I'm glad that they picked it up here. And again, you got 1 space here, finally, to hold an extra weapon, which will cost 1 action point to swap out with your active weapon. Overall, this board is wonderful. A bit too big, I think. But I think they wanted to show off the wonderful art of the character. It could have been a bit smaller, which would have made nice for more space on the table. Now, along your adventure, skill tests will come up in your book. As you can see, they're in these boxes like this. This is a skill test. This is a solo skill test, which is going to test your perception and possibly your stealth. And here is a solo one again, which tests your knowledge and potion making. So any of those kind of things will help towards this challenge. And the challenges are very easy. This is a medium, and then there's hard. Easy is 1 black dice. Medium is 2 black dice, and then obviously hard is 3 black dice. So let's say the ancient here is going to do the test. It's against their knowledge. They have a knowledge level of 2, which means that they're going to roll 2 white dice, and the challenge difficulty is 2 black dice. These faces, this means a success, this means nothing, and obviously that means nothing. And again, same with the black dice. This means a fail, and this means it could mean a fail, and then obviously nothing. As you can see from this test here, you get a bonus if you have this magic ability, the School of Elemental Magic. Any of those white casks or helmet symbols you roll will give you automatically 3 successes. And you're going to be adding these up, and as you can see, you need to try and have at least 6 to be able to go to that chapter there, that phrase 92. Or if you do 2, or you accumulate 2 red gauntlets, you have to go to 13 instead. So that's it, basically. So at the moment, I can roll these dice. I have 2 in knowledge, 2 black. Again, I've got this potion making skill, which means that my helmet will give you an extra success. And again, you can always spend 1 of your aura points to basically level that up to a 3rd white dice, and so you now have a better chance of possibly getting that success. So you'll roll these, and then you'll have a look at what you have. So in this case, I have 2 successes. I would mark that by placing 2 success tokens here to remind myself. Now you will find that the solo ones are simple like that. The team ones are basically when like a group is walking across a rickety bridge. It's just to see if one person will fall in. But the group is individual, sorry. So like an individual task. And then you'll have group ones where you will accumulate. So each player is pushing their luck, rolling these dice and trying to get as many successes, and then stopping before they get too many red gauntlets. And then they basically bank the successes that they've rolled, and then the next player will go and they will add their successes to this pool of successes to see if you get the right amount. And sometimes, as you saw, some of these tests will tell you how many you're going to need to progress to the next part to be successful, but some of them don't. And so you've got to go and guess how many you're going to roll, and then you'll go to another paragraph and that will tell you if you failed or succeeded, or if you've got something cool. It's a nice way to push your luck and change the game a bit by doing a bit more dice rolling to see if you're successful. It's great when you are, it's annoying when you're not, but you have to evaluate these kind of things. You look at what your powers are, you look at any weapons or any skills that you have, you add them on, and hopefully you're going to be successful or not, and you're going to know when you're going to be good or not or something, because you look at the stats and maybe say, let's just fail this and move on with the story. So this is part of the game which is important but not important. You can kind of keep this maybe on another table or in the corner of your gaming table. It doesn't need to be center and forward. You can move it to the center if need be. But yeah, this basically tracks where you are. This is going to be you wherever you are, and you're going to be moving around the board, and you might go to a location, which means that you're going to need to read this paragraph here or this paragraph here. During the course of the game, you may have some locations brought up to you, and so you'll place them on there, and then yeah, you can go there. It's important to have your character again in a location due to the fact that on your turn, well, during the exploration phase, you can use your knowledge to collect resources, and there's this resource wheel here. Basically what will happen is you'll spend one of your movement tokens to collect resources, and you'll use the player who has the best knowledge, and they will gather resources for you. So depending on their knowledge skill, they'll get that amount of knowledge times 2 in event cards, and we saw these earlier. They basically will give you symbols, these crystals. So if I drew 6, I have 3 white, a blue and a red crystal, which means that in this location I'm in the forest, which that doesn't say forest, that says forest. I can harvest some skin if I wanted to, or I could get that red crystal as a purple herb. And so all of this will then go into your resource pack, and then you can use it to make stuff. It's such a simple system. I love it. It gives me that Skyrim feeling of going around. There are some nice little art things, details on there. We don't know what they do yet, but I know that the main cities here, like Arrogance, are going to be important during the course of the game. So moving around the world is quite a simple kind of mechanism, and an interesting one as well. So you'll look at the world map and see where you are. You will reveal, depending on the time of day, if you're in the day or in the night phase, a day card or a night card. You reveal it, and if you are in that location, so if I was in the swamp, an event would happen. I would place this here, again slide it under, I wish it was recessed, and then you take an event card which has a number. You'll look at the time of day that you have, or if you're in stealth mode or not in stealth mode, and that will determine which paragraph you're going to read from the book. So if I'm in daytime, because it's nice and sunny here, I slide this under here. This gives me the number 0209, which means that I need to reference the event book, and it will give me an event. I might see a caravan of wandering creatures, or there might be someone being slaughtered on an altar, and maybe I'll rescue them or not. There's lots of possibilities with these events, and some of these events will correspond to the current book that you're reading, because it might not just be from the event book, but it might be from the scenario book. And then when you continue walking, you just carry on. There are cards which tell you what time of day it is, so, well, not time of day it is, what type of weather it is. So if it ever changes to rain, I flip this over. So yeah, if I'm not in the swamp, I will get a foot token if I'm in the mountains, and a foot token anyway. So if I'm in the mountains, I'm going to get 2 foot tokens, which is a bonus. and then at this it's slide under it. And this is like the passing of time. This is your timeline, and things are going to happen. When you have X amount of foot tokens, so in this case, if it's a nice day, if I spend 2 of them, I can move 1 hex on the main map. And if it rains, I'm going to need 3. So these are kind of a valuable resource to get to locations quickly, because the game might say, oh, you need to get there quick before it burns down or before a monster kills everyone. But at the same time, you're going to want to spend these to gain some resources. At any time during the course of this, you can also just set up camp. Where is it? There it is. That's the camp. So you can set up camp and have a camp and gain some health. And again, some of these cards will have villages on them, which you can visit as well, which will tie in with the camping as well. So, I can't find one. Typical. There's one. There you go. So here it has a village icon, which means that I can visit a village if I want, or if I don't visit the village, I can take a foot token. Visiting a village is on the back of your resource wheel here. So they'll have some stuff for you to buy. So you'll randomly draw 4 common items and some 3 weapons. You can spend all your stuff, or you can sell your stuff for half the value which is marked. You can buy resources of your choice for a coin. And then here you can sleep and eat. So you can eat and get some health back, or you can sleep, which means that that's when you look at that camping card. And you can only do that once a day. And at the end of the day, once you've gone to the night phase, you simply add a crystal here, which counts the amount of days and time as it passes. It's messy here, isn't it? It's messy. I love this game though. I love this mechanic. It does give you that kind of lived-in world feeling that I'm actually in this world, in the right place at the right time, or in the wrong place at the right time, or in the wrong place at the wrong time. So during the course of the game, there's going to be some moments where you put some minis on a board. Yay! The books will explain basically what layout you will have to lay, and you look for the numbers of the tiles. So they are all numbered. Strangely, some of them are numbered, like this one is F2 and then F4 on the back. But a majority of them are, like this one is B4, so on the back of this is B3, which makes it easy to find stuff. The maps will also tell you where to place these spawn locations. Technically, there shouldn't be 2 yellow ones, but there you go. And they're on my behalf. They will tell you where these spawn tokens, or what these tokens will do. And then there'll be maybe some points of interest on the board as well, which you can go to. And as soon as your character goes on it, you read the paragraph which it says in the book that it is. Now, sometimes you'll go into this kind of layout when you're in stealth mode. And stealth mode will either be normal stealth mode or some kind of extreme stealth mode. And as you can see, this track is a bit shorter than this track. And the things that happen are slightly different as well. So up here at the moment, if an enemy is next to a hero or a dead body, that will raise the alarm of 1 space, and then later on it becomes 3 spaces. This is how many event cards you're going to reveal. And as you remember, the event cards, which have multiple purposes like this, will tell you that, for example, the 2 nearest warriors to the yellow will move 2 spaces in that direction. 1, 2. Well, that's 2 because the water is actually takes an extra action. And then if a character is on the yellow space, they move 4 in this direction, and then they have a good line of sight, more than the stated 1, 2, or 3 of the threat track. And then you would do a second card, and it would be the same kind of thing. So this is like a programmation of these enemies which are going to move around the board, which works. It's solid. I like it. It's nice than having some other kind of AI that you find in some kind of combat games like this. But yeah, this is stealth, and obviously this tracker is going to move down the board during the course of the game. And the way that it moves around the board is dependent on how many and what type of actions you do. So if you move, you're going to roll this white dice. If you move and kill a creature, you're going to roll 2 dice. And if you do 3 actions, so like if you move, kill the creature, then hide its body, move its body into a different, you're going to roll a different dice entirely. So you will either roll 1 or 2 of these white dice, and that tells you how many spaces down the threat track it will move. And as I said, if you do 3 actions or more, you're going to have to roll the black dice, which moves the tracker a lot quicker, and it also has an alarm. It jumps straight to the alarm, and that's it. The guards will go into combat mode and you will automatically start fighting. Other things I like about this is if you do a stealth attack at a distance, the body falls to the ground and makes a noise, and some of these event cards will say the enemy will move closer to the nearest noise marker. So yeah, that puts up the tension. This is a really tense moment of sneaking around the board, getting into shadows. Some tiles have shadow sections. You can hide behind objects which are in the red, yeah, that makes for a really tense kind of experience. And then you go into combat, and combat is very, very simple. Like you've seen it in many other games, is you will have the threat track. Bing! And just like magic, there's the threat track. The threat track well, it's not your threat track, it's the initiative track. So you'll place your character wherever they are in initiative, and you'll place your enemy's initiative wherever it is. And as I said, you can change it by spending action points to move up. So you can attack maybe before an enemy or after an enemy. But whenever it's the enemy's turn, if they are melee combatants, they will move to the nearest person and then attack. Or if they're already next to a person, they will attack as well. At a distance, it's just a case of moving into line of sight. So imagine this character was an archer. They could just move here and they'd be in line of sight because it's a straight line. The only difference is line of sight is the nearest point to the nearest point. If it traverses a line with which is red, which is an obstacle, then they don't have line of sight. They would have to move somewhere else to have line of sight. Attack dice are rolled, defense dice are rolled, and then you see who has you see what kind of negation is done. So example, this shield will block one of these 3 damage. This icon might activate something special. It might stop the enemy from rolling a black dice, or this might mean an additional damage. There are lots of different combinations of weapons and characters to make combat interesting, and it's not always combat when you set up a board like this. Sometimes there are a lot of surprises. You might just need to go to one of these curious moments, reveal it, look at the paragraph, and it might surprise you with something interesting. But yeah, combat is not as straightforward as you think. It's easy, but it's full of surprises. And if you're thinking, this looks a bit strange here, it's because, yeah, this tile does not slit into there for some reason. It's just a tad too big. There are some tiles which do that, but the majority of the tiles do actually fit. So there you go. This is a before you buy video. I've just pointed out practically everything which is in the game, all of the components in their lovely trays, the rules. Hopefully some of those rules are the important ones which make the decision for you to choose this game or to leave this game somewhere else in the universe. This is a before you buy video, so hopefully there's enough information in this video to point you in the direction whether this is a game for you or not. So I'm just going to probably recap and re-say the things that I've already said, that this is a choose your own adventure game for your tabletop. It has that Dungeons and Dragons role-playing experience with leveling up skills and skill tests, fighting, combat. The combat section you'll notice on this video is very, very short because it is very, very reminiscent of practically every single dungeon crawling game out there. This is not a dungeon crawling game. This game is full of surprises. The game is always shifting. It's not just combat and story, it's other things as well. There's story in there as well. It's going to keep you perpetuated. There's tactical thinking. There's more than I can possibly explain. There are always something different happening. There are so many story cards that I haven't seen yet and possibly will never see in this playthrough. There are paragraphs that I'm probably never going to read, events that are never going to happen to me, pitfalls that will never possibly happen. But I'm thoroughly enjoying the game, even though there are these moments of where you constantly fail. The game just keeps kicking you in the bollocks, and the pain can sometimes be unendurable. The errors and problems with the translation are negatable. They can be jumped over. And as I said, this game is not idiot proof. It does a good job of putting guardrails up and reminding you that you're in this stealth mode, or you are doing this and this is what you need to do, with its little rule changes from the base rules that there are in the game. But you will make mistakes. You will forget that you have that item. You won't write it down on your sheet, and then you restart the game and you're stuck. But they are little obstacles that you can jump over by not cheating, but you know, saying that you've got them. Oh, just to jump in quickly, totally forgot, this game comes with its own soundtrack which you can download. And it's not by me for a change. But yeah, it has its own soundtrack by Guy-Roger Duvert, who is a composer for film. He's directed a film, he's written books, he's even made a board game. Go and check that out, it's well worth it. It's the music that I use when I'm playing, with sound effects as well. So don't forget, if you get this game, go and download that. So there you go. I'm going to say thanks for watching if you did manage to get to the end of this video, because it's probably near an hour long. If you enjoyed the video, give it a like. If you know someone that might appreciate this video, share it with them. And as always, just play nicely with each other. This is just an adventure, and as I said, hopefully this has pointed you in the direction where this is a game for you or not. So until next time, I'll say ciao for now, and please remember to play nicely at the table.
Just sitting